Welcome to Mike Rambling. If you've fallen on this channel, you're probably wondering what it is. Well, it's about a channel about nothing in particular, about topics that are really just nothing, and in that grand scheme of things, nothing. But they come from me. They come from me and my mind and what I'm thinking, and I'm just processing. And like everyone else, we're all doing that also. And I've started this channel to process some of those thoughts. I've come here to think out loud, to say the things maybe you're thinking or feeling or going through or wondering as you get older, as we go down this path of life to figure things out, all to realize, well, it's just the choices we make along the way to enjoy it as much as possible. There's no real end game to anything, but just to ramble, enjoy yourself, and just try to think you're figuring it out what life is. You're figuring out what the hell to do, how to make your time on this planet worth it. You're really just trying to figure it out, and I'm here to try, maybe help. I don't know if I'm gonna help, but it might help me figure my stuff out. And really, I just wanted to talk about anything and everything, and just learn to talk better with everyone, because I know for a fact I sit here and I work away, working from home, and doing my job, and it's very isolating, and other people might be in that position also. And so I just wanted to start this channel to talk about the topics that I have in my mind. From day to day, I'll think of new topics and I'll just talk about them. So let's go from here. What do we talk about? Well, what do I talk about? I guess you'll talk to me later in the comments. And so I don't really want to script anything. I don't want to be, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to mess up. So just forgive me for that. And I'm just going to sit here and draw the thoughts and ideas that I have in my mind. And it will just help me to learn to draw a bit better and all that type of thing. And so I have thoughts of, well, what is life, right? We're people, little stick men. This stick man. And then you have a stick woman with boobs, because we don't have boobs as men. I should probably do a little dingle here. And we often talk, we go blah 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 blah, and blah 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 blah. We often talk forward and backwards, and that line of communication and the topics of that, what we have there. I find this very interesting, all the topics that we have and we're talking about. It's fascinating to me to know that we're doing this every day, and we're wondering, both in our heads, what we're doing, right? And we might be in a relationship with one another, and we're wondering, what is all this stuff? What is this world? Right? We've got the planet here. I don't know about the countries. I'm just going to try and draw them. And since I'm from Australia, let's see if I can do that one. I think Australia's like this. Oh, did I get it right? I got it wrong, I think. Tasmania's down here. America's probably like over here, with South Africa down here. And it's in all the stars. It's all the other stars, right? The other planets. We're like wondering, what are we doing? And then we're like freaking out. Sometimes we freak out and we have sex with one another. Anxiety, right? We have anxiety. And I know for a fact we're doing this. Maybe this is what I want to talk about today. Give little hands about how we deal with anxiety. And I found myself in my life using sex, and I'd say probably pornography, to deal with anxiety. And I often wonder, is that a coping mechanism for life? Are we so stressed out that we turn to maybe the most natural thing, right? We've got other things like drugs and alcohol that people turn to. But what about that one thing that we can both do without substances, without anything? And I often wonder, really, is that something we are meant to do? Are we meant to kind of freak out? We're alive, we're like walking, we're doing all this stuff, and we're like, the fact that we're walking, right? We have two legs and 2 arms and a head, and we're walking. We're managing to walk, right? We're doing our walk. That's a terrible walk. As I said, I'm going to get better. And you're walking, and let me get a new illustration here. So let's get rid of the man and the couple, right? And still talking about that subject of using sex and pornography to cope with anxiety. Because I think what people don't realize is that we are doing that. The reason why we are kind of turning towards certain things and certain substances, and the topic is, sex. And I wonder if anyone else has used that to cope with just being around, right? And we all go through different problems in life, and we're not realizing what we're doing. We're all just walking around, doing our walking, doing our talking, thinking in our heads, right? And using certain things to, deal with anxiety. And I found in my life I used sex and pornography to deal with my anxiety. Often I didn't even knew that I was doing that. And so after you realize it, you've probably realized that they're very much like a person who is using drugs. It's an abusive thing that you get into, and you don't know that you're abusive, and you don't know that you're kind of a little bit abusive to other people, because you're just looking for your fix, right? You're looking for your fix. And so when you look for that fix, all you do is you see people in a very different light, right? You look at people as very two-sided. So if you were to look at the opposite sex, and say for me, be a woman, and all I see is boobs and a butt. And that's very, very vain, right? And I guess, you'd think, well, men, that's how men operate. And I believe that for a while, that men are just we're searching for it. We're just looking for the boobs and the ass. We're looking around. We're just searching for it. All these guys are just looking for the boobs and the ass. We're really getting into it. Just looking. And then some of us talk to the boobs and the ass. Not really realizing that's what we're doing. We're hooked. Totally hooked. Not really realizing that the boobs and the ass can make babies. You get a baby. You get a baby pig, man. There you go, little baby. And we're just we want boobs and ass. But really, every time you're going for the boobs and the ass, you're wanting the baby. That baby, right? You don't really realize. I am very lucky and I haven't had kids yet, because my mindset is not there to have children, and it might not ever be. I don't want children, but the mindset of consuming and wanting that, I often wonder, what the hell am I thinking, right? And it made me realize it's what I'm doing to treat an anxious mind, right? Just because maybe I am not happy with my life at certain aspects of it, or not doing things with my life, that I'm looking to kind of somehow fill the void of that with sex and pornography. But what you end up doing is you just end up getting worse and worse and worse. Because what happens is, let's say this is we'll draw the mind, right? Okay, so, these guys are looking for the ass. I'm not sure if I should use a different color. Maybe I'll do a green. Yeah, you can let me know if you want me to do more colors. So that's way too big. It's huge. So let's say we'll switch between, we'll mix up the black and the green, right? Or we can, maybe we'll just do that for now. Okay, so let's get the head. There's an ear. Right, oh. That's the ear. Hopefully, no, it's an ear. I'm drawing on this tablet. I'm not too used to drawing. That's a head. And then, right, switch up the colour. Got a brain in there. Right, and so what you're doing is, and you're probably going to be upset with this attitude, right? You're not right. Because if trust me, if you're going for it all the time, you're going some tits, some ass, right? That's a leg, and that's another leg, butt crack. And you're looking, you're searching for it in your mind all the time, constantly. And then you act on it, and you watch some pornography, right? You watch some, and guess what? It doesn't work. You constantly gear yourself to that exposure of the tits and ass. And what happens is you actually waste all this dopamine on that. You're constantly taking it out on and wasting it, because in life you have a certain amount of dopamine. Let me get a smaller thing. Dopamine. And so if you're wasting it and you're jacking off, that's a penis. And you constantly, you wake up every day and jacking it. Just waking up and jacking it. Or if you're doing that and, all you're looking forward towards in life is that sexual encounter, and you're going, okay, the woman, right? I need that woman, right? With the ass like this. She's walking around, tight dress, and you're damn, that's what you're thinking about. You're never going to get to the point where even one woman will be sufficient. I'm not sure if you've ever been in that position where you've ever dated from a male point of view, more than one woman, and you've had sex. Up to maybe 3 times a day with 3 different people, and you find yourself not happy. And you often wonder, it's because you're not happy, right? You're not happy with what's happening in your head, right? Because you've fixated your dopamine, this thing here, this dopamine thing, right, on all that stuff constantly. You've always fixated that, and that's what I found, that fixation. And you always look towards the opposite sex to make you happy. And I mean, I guess a lot of people do that. It's not the way you can operate. You can't operate like that. And it will take some people a while to be well, the enjoyment from that sexual organ of yours isn't exactly what should motivate you. Because you get, well, really, eventually, you're going to get a baby, right? And then you might have 2 babies. Maybe you have twins. And what happens then, right? All of a sudden, you've got these babies. And say you met somebody who didn't believe in abortion, and so they didn't believe in abortion, and you got angry at that. Like you're furious because you thought maybe they would, and you trusted them to. Oh, you'd be like, well, say you hooked up with them, and like you never had that discussion. You're angry in your head, but all you were going for was that dopamine, right? You were heading for that dopamine, and what happened was a baby or two babies, right? Or if you just what happens with some people, really does, and some people actually don't want children, and it's a funny thing, right? You can actually not want kids because maybe you just don't want to ever grow up and not realize, or just don't want to have to look after someone else. And so this is the conclusion. But what happens if you have kids out of working on that dopamine, out of getting that in through your penis, right? And you have sex. I mean, women can do it as well, but usually they're going to be more responsible, because men seem to be less responsible because they're not the ones getting pregnant. So you really have to think that what you're doing and why you're acting on those things. So this is what I wanted to discuss, and I think I'm almost finished discussing it, on why you're doing these things. Why the hell are you having all that sex, all that wanking, to be unhappy with yourself? And so you have that face, this face here, this one. You're unhappy, right? Because what you're led yourself to do in life is just to think about those things so damn much. And maybe, just maybe, if you stop thinking about those things and not act on those things, you can actually be happy, right? What happens if you want to just, forget about doing those things? Not worry about those things for a while, especially if you don't want kids, and not to look at those things as enjoyment, because they all have their pros and cons. There's no free lunch. Really, if there was no such thing as a contraceptive and no condoms, nothing, your brain wouldn't be able to achieve those types of highs constantly. And so when you do expose yourself to those highs, and time and time again, it does change your brain chemistry. It does make you more inclined to search for those things. And I often think with the advance of all these things to, aid us in the ability to have more sex, it's also made us more unhappy, because it's given us this illusion that we can have all this sex, right? Just constantly have all this sex, and just nothing comes from it. Nothing at all. But really, the reality of it, you would eventually get caught with a child, right? And so you get stuck with then realizing, well, you messed up and you got a child, and you weren't even ready for it. So you went in in a greedy kind of way to do it. Just be like, well, we're gonna have sex and there's no responsibilities here. No, there is a responsibility. It's just that we've taken away the responsibility, and also given, it's almost like a safety net. But the safety net will break eventually and you get caught out. And so this is not to discourage people from having sex, but you got to wonder why you're having sex. And sometimes really, when you fight in a relationship, and so you wonder with the woman here, I'm not sure if I'll draw a smaller jaw. It's going to work terribly. But that's the woman. She's got her hair. Alright. And she's there, and you're like going to tell her, we're just going to have sex and enjoy ourselves. And you're both trying to have that assumption that you can do those things. But you have to question it. Are you having sex after a fight? Right? And that's one thing. Because anxiety, right? You fight, have a fight, and then you're both angry. So we'll change this to anger. Right. and then like, you're angry at each other, and then you have sex, and you know, let me add the T to this. Yep. And so what you're doing is, let me just get that. So you have a fight, right? And then you have sex. And what's happening there? Something bad is going to happen. Because what you've done is, you've fought, right? And it doesn't make a lot of sense, right, to have sex after a fight. Does it? No, it doesn't. You shouldn't. You should probably only have sex when you're happy. And so when you do that, you're going to be treating yourself. You can treat yourself with yourself, right? You know, you can pretty much try and treat that anxiety with the fight and be like, wow, that's going to make it better. And it does. For some reason, it does for the time being. It's like a band-aid, right? So you have to watch what you're doing. And this is what I just want to give that precaution out. And this is what these video series will be about. So maybe, you know, put a precaution out there to people, get people thinking. And yeah, like don't do things like this without having that thing in the back of your mind of, well, you know, like, I'm angry at you, or I was just angry at you, and I haven't really forgiven you for that, and we're gonna have sex. You're doing it because of this anxiety of the situation, the hardness, right? That hard factor. Hard factors of life, right? Life to live is pretty hard, right? But don't go off treating it like that. Don't go off and treat yourself with doing such things. Remain calm. Don't do it, because it's never worth it. You could have a baby from it, and then you'll be pissed. You'll be pissed because you acted on your dopamine to treat yourself. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And so I'll just come out maybe every day. Every day. Oop, I totally fucked that up. But you get it. Takes too long to do that and correct myself as I do it. But I'll produce a new video every day discussing topics. There we go. Not as long of life. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna leave it there. Mike Rambling is out. Please subscribe and like. Any support on Patreon is appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.